The desert, where the sun scorches the earth by day and the cold pierces to the bone by night. It was here, near Sote, in a small tent, on June 7, 1942, that a boy was born. His name, Muammar. He came from a poor Bedouin family, surviving on small herds and subsistence farming. No electricity, schools far away. Yet one thing set this boy apart, a fascination with power, politics, and the future. As he grew, his imagination wandered beyond the sand dunes. He dreamed of unity among Arab tribes. At that time, a new star was rising in the Arab world, Egypt's Gamal Abdel Nasser. His voice, his vision of Pan-Arabism, became a guiding inspiration for young Gaddafi. Gaddafi's early education was basic, but he quickly turned toward the military. He enrolled at the Benghazi Military Academy. He didn't just train, he began organizing, forming a small group of like-minded officers. They called themselves the Free Officers Movement, inspired by Nasser's own movement in Egypt. Gaddafi was the most passionate among them, a natural leader even at a young age. Others followed him, drawn to his vision of change. September 1st, 1969. King Idris was away in Italy for medical treatment. That night, a small group of young officers moved through the streets of Tripoli with tanks and jeeps. By dawn, Libya's monarchy had ended. At just 27 years old, Muammar Gaddafi had become the country's leader. The world watched in disbelief. A young man, barely known, now holding absolute power. Gaddafi proclaimed, "I am not a president. I am not a king. I am only a leader." He introduced a new term, Jamahiriya, meaning people's authority. Then he codified his vision in a book, the Green Book. In it, he argued, democracy as practiced was a sham. Citizens only vote, while real decisions are made by politicians. Capitalism is unjust. Wealth remains in the hands of a few. Every decision should come directly from the people through committees. This ideology became embedded in Libya, taught in schools, displayed in offices, repeated in public. But in practice, decisions revolved almost entirely around Gaddafi and his inner circle. In the early years, Libya's fortune transformed. Oil revenue funded free education and healthcare. Literacy rates rose from roughly 10% to over 80%. Roads, buildings, and infrastructure projects transformed the nation. Yet alongside progress, fear grew. Secret police were everywhere. Speaking out was dangerous. People say that at night, even glances through the windows could feel like someone was watching. In June 1996, a single event shook Libya profoundly, the Abu Salim prison incident. Reports suggest thousands of prisoners vanished in a single day. The government kept it hidden for years. Abu Salim remains awound in Libya's collective memory. Gaddafi's influence was no longer confined to Libya. He became a global figure. The most notorious incident, Lockerbie, 1988. Pan Am Flight 103 exploded over Scotland, taking 270 lives. Investigations pointed toward Libya. Sanctions followed, isolating Gaddafi internationally. In 2003, Libya formally accepted responsibility and compensated victims' families. Yet the world's perception of him remained that of a dangerous and unpredictable leader. In the 2000s, Gaddafi began a subtle shift. He dismantled Libya's nuclear and chemical programs. A man once seen as a sponsor of terrorism appeared shaking hands with Western leaders. Images circulated. Tony Blair, Nicolas Sarkozy, Silvio Berlusconi, all meeting Gaddafi. Libya began returning to the international stage. Some saw this as genuine change, others as a strategy for survival. 2011, the wave of Arab Spring reached Libya. People poured into the streets, Tripoli, Benghazi, Misrata. Their message was simple, enough. But Gaddafi refused to step down. "I will fight to the last," he declared. What followed was an internal conflict between the people and the government, intensified by NATO intervention. Libya fractured into two worlds, one loyal to Gaddafi, the other rising in rebellion. October 2011. Sote, the city where Gaddafi was born, and where his story would end. Hiding with a few loyalists, He moved through narrow streets and sought refuge in drainage pipes. Yet eventually, he was discovered. Cameras captured the last moments of his life. The world witnessed it. A chapter that began in a desert tent had reached its conclusion. Gaddafi's story is far from simple. Some remember him as the leader who brought education, healthcare, and infrastructure to a struggling nation. Others remember him as the ruler who silenced voices and maintained control through fear. After his death, Libya remains in search of stability. Militias, political vacuums, and fragmented governance continue to define the nation. The echoes of Gaddafi's rule linger in every city, every street, and every conversation about power. Muammar Gaddafi, a desert child, a colonel, a revolutionary, a ruler. His story leaves us with a question. When power is concentrated in one person's hands, what is the cost? Some call him a hero, some a villain. But the truth remains. He was a force that reshaped a nation, for better or worse, and the reverberations of his era are still felt today.
The case may be closed, but criminology never sleeps. Like and subscribe at Join Criminology, and step deeper into the dark with us.